had some cool thoughts that I want to share today. This particularly is about identity when it comes to what we're recognizing in our thoughts and thoughts that come from outside of us, not the thoughts that originate inside of us. So like there's the stories that we believe, and there's the echoes of the past that sometimes make us have thoughts of our own of maybe I'm not capable because of that memory or whatever. This is something different. And what I've been thinking about recently about the definition of FUD, fear, uncertainty, doubt, dread, and discouragement. Discouragement really, I think, comes from deception. And this is kind of the idea that I feel like is leading into where that deception is coming from. So have I told you about the castle analogy? The castle walls is the decisions that you make about who you are and what you will allow into your mind or your body or your life. You could apply this to your emotional health or whatever you want. Imagine that what you want is like a castle. And inside that castle, the courtyard, the walls, the everything, that is what you're going to protect, what you love, what you need, what brings you joy. I learned this as I was going through the divorce, and the psychologist said, imagine that part of your wall is broken down. And anybody's going to come in there anytime that they want because you haven't made a decision around what the strength of that wall is. So each part of that wall became a decision that I needed to make about what I would allow and what I would not allow. I don't allow people to gaslight me. I will hang up. I will walk away. I will XYZ, whatever. I will not allow that in my head, in my space. So because of the past pain, I let that sit with me long enough. Like I will never do that again. So whatever decision around you choosing your boundaries of who you are is the castle walls. And then when the gate opens, you get to choose, okay, I want this thing to come in. I'm going to invite, this new job opportunity into my life because I love to solve problems. That's joyful to me. That's something that I want to attract, and I'm gonna imagine it. I'm gonna let my mind think about it and let that look for an opportunity. What would that look like? How would that bring me joy? People that I can talk to, keep asking around, just put it out in the universe. Hey, do you know anybody that's looking for this? Have you heard about anything like this? And just keep putting it out there because it's your desire and it's going to come to you. Instead of rambling on endlessly, I'm going to read you my journal, a couple pages that I wrote this morning. I've been thinking a lot about deception, discouragement, and dread recently when it comes to how we see ourselves. The inner battle is real for all of us. There are days that feel heavy in my body when I have not paused to recognize the cause of my thoughts, emotions, and beliefs inside of me. Yesterday was one of those days. There was disappointment from efforts that did not materialize the way I had hoped. I tried to ignore it and keep on pushing to complete my day. That night, I had a reminder that joy and fulfillment expand from desire and focus. More specifically, focusing on what feels good and allowing it to expand. This morning during my routine meditation, I wandered back through what happened yesterday, trying to recognize my thoughts. And it was then that I was able to remember the thoughts of doubt, failure, and rejection, and the old stories of the past that no one wants to listen to you. The interesting thing is that I observed and remembered the experience. When I remembered the experience, they seemed further away than before. I could almost imagine that they were forces of darkness trying to storm the castle gates of my identity and what I believe about myself and what I am capable of. But that's just the thing. I could see them as outside of me, a separate part of my thoughts in my mind, and that they did not, in fact, originate from inside of me. They were not and are not my own beliefs. They are thoughts of deception and doubt that I do not have to claim and do not need to listen to. As I worked through the meditation, shifting from recognize and remove to replace and reimagine, I was able to remember an idea that I was given about 10 years ago that has strengthened me all along my journey. It was a visualization of seeing all the creations of the earth, so beautiful and majestic, one at a time. After which the thought was given to me that I saved the best for last. And then I saw a woman, me, standing noble, standing tall, with a crown on my head. Then I felt the words, "You are the jewel of my crown," knowing that my Creator made me and holds me precious in His sight. As I pondered on this memory, I again witnessed that it came from outside of me, not from within me, not originating from my own ideas. And somehow that gives me more strength to know that, because my true identity, the person I am striving to become, is not a figment of my own imagination. It was given me to see it. Both deception and truth come from unseen forces outside of our own mind. So I think it's so important to remember that when we're battling the inner battles of what's happening in our minds, that not everything comes from within us, that there are ideas out in the universe, both light and darkness, that come into our minds. Someone once explained it like a radio dial, and you're tuning in to be able to hear that signal. But sometimes the noise of all the doubt and the dread gets so loud that it cancels out that signal. So that's what the power of pausing, the power of meditation, the power of tuning in and taking time to recognize, what am I feeling, what am I thinking, and where are those thoughts coming from? That's the power of the moment when we first meet our true identity, our higher selves. And I've seen that in my own journey, in all the journey of my clients, and that changes the way that you see yourself, changes the way that you feel like you can approach your challenges and what you're learning from life. So when I have that perspective of that's the person I'm becoming, it feels like a journey of joy. It feels like a journey of growth and going toward that. Instead of sometimes in the personal development space, it feels like, and you've probably heard the metaphor of peeling back the onion. I do not like that metaphor because it feels like I have to. I'm looking for the next thing that's wrong with me. That's not what my journey, I don't want my journey to be about finding the next thing that's wrong. It's about becoming that person I want to become. So as you guys think about what's going on in your experience, think about times when you keep pushing through, when you want to ignore whatever is happening in your mind, which I did that yesterday. I kept pushing through and I kept ignoring. I didn't pause. I didn't stop and think what's going on, but I did that in my routine schedule. So that was a grace that's part of my normal routine. So think about what you're going through on your journey and what that looks like for you. And how do you experience those thoughts that come from the outside? And notice as you look back, which that's when clarity comes, right? When we have those moments to look back and we think, did that thought come from outside of me, or did it come from inside of me? Was it my own idea? Was I inspired to think that? Or did it come like from the light or from the darkness? And recognizing with our picture of the clouds and the sun, you can separate, where is that thought going to lead me? Is it going to lead me more to joy, to peace? Or is it going to take me more to doubt and dread and fear when it pulls me down to the clouds? Does that help? What nuggets do you guys get out of that?
I love just the awareness and the recognition of both light and darkness as outside forces, but also our ability to claim our power within to choose your focus. So the awareness of both outside and inside power, I guess I'd say, is important
For sure.
because you do need to know there's opposition,
Mm-hmm.
but also there's um, light and goodness But that power to choose makes the difference
Yeah. Yeah.
because you're not just
Absolutely.
being tossed to and fro between the two forces. You
Hmm.
actually have control within yourself to make that
Right.
choice. And that's really empowering.
Yeah. And we gain that control when we gain the awareness, because if we're just going
Hmm.
through and pushing, we don't even know what's going on. When we
Right.
pause, then we can see, where is it coming from? What am I thinking? Does it go on the clouds or the sun? And how is it making me feel in my body?